In this Excel demonstration, we're continuing on. We're using our grouped frequency distribution for our store A prices, and we're going to create a frequency polygon and an Ogive. So those are the two things we're doing in this demonstration. The Excel workbook that you want to use is Excel demonstration store A histogram. So first one that we're going to do is we're doing the frequency polygon. And the frequency polygon is going to use the midpoints and the frequency. So we're going to need this column. So I'm going to copy it. I'm going to move it to a new worksheet. Copy. And then I'm adding my new worksheet in here. And I'm going to say paste. I'm just going to paste the values. That's the second one over. And then I'm going to put my midpoints in here as the second thing. So I'm going back to the frequency distribution and I'm finding the midpoints, highlighting those, right click, copy, go over to my new sheet. In my case, it's sheet 8, and then right click, paste. So I've got the frequency and I've got the midpoints, and now I want to create a graph with those two. So I'll just highlight the two, and I'll come in here, and a frequency polygon is a line type chart. So we'll click Insert, and we'll pick the ones that look like lines, the second one down, Insert a line chart. And we'll pick the very first one, and this is what I get. Then I want to come over here and I want to select my data. And when I select my data, what's happening is the horizontal axis right now, they just have it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the horizontal axis is the one that should get the midpoints, and the frequency should be along Y. So I'm going over here, I'm going to edit, and I'm going to pick the midpoints like this. And then I'm going to say OK. So there we go. So we've got a line chart. It kind of, it looks like I'm graphing the midpoints against the frequency. But remember, we want it to look like a polygon. And a polygon is closed on the two sides. It's a solid figure. So what I want to do is I want to come in here and I want to insert a row. And I want it to go back one class width and up one class width. And then I'm going to put the frequency of 0 in there. So I'll say 0. And I'm going back one class width. And our class width was 1.81, $1.81. So in this spot, I'm going to say equals this minus $1.81. And then up here, we're going to put 0 again. And we're going to come over and we're going to say equal plus $1.81. So now I've created those two that should close the polygon shape, but it didn't change my chart. So I want to come back into the chart and I want to click on it. And I want to get my data series to show up again. So notice I come over here to select data, and it's highlighted what the data series are. So now I want to extend this up to pick up the 0. I'll extend it down to pick up the 0. I'll take this one back one class width and up one class width. And now I have a closed polygon shape. So the last thing that we're going to do is let's change our titles. Let's come up here and let's change this to frequency polygon of store A prices. And then we don't need this label down here anymore telling us because it's only one line chart. I'm going to delete it. But I'm going over here to pick a chart element, and I'm going to do my axis titles. So my primary horizontal in here is going to say price of an item and then in dollars. Then I'm going to add another one, and we'll add another axis title. This time let's do our primary vertical. So up here on this one, we'll say frequency. So this one wasn't so bad. We ended up closing the values as far as that's concerned. I know it goes down one class and up one class as far as the categories are concerned, and those are not really in our data set. They're just created to close up the frequency polygon. So a lot of times we don't include those values on the axis. And so we white them out or whatever to get rid of them because they truly are not members of the data set, and we truly don't have a midpoint with a 0 of 1.08 or a midpoint of 11.94 with a 0. So I'll leave that up to you and up to your instructor on whether you need to get rid of those two midpoints for their presentation. Next one is going to be the Ogive. So the Ogive is either a cumulative frequency graph, or even though it looks like it's spelled Ogive or Ogive, it's pronounced Ogive. So that's our next thing that we want to create. So let me label this one as our frequency polygon. Let's go back to our frequency distribution. And this time with our Ogive, we want the upper class boundaries and the cumulative frequency because it's a cumulative frequency graph. So upper class boundary, copy. I'm going to create a new page because I'm doing a different graph. I'm coming in here and I'm going to paste this in column A. And then in column B, I'm going to go back here to the frequency distribution and I'm picking up the cumulative frequency and I'm highlighting it, copy, going over to my new sheet, which in my case is sheet 9, and I'm coming in here and I'm going to paste. So I'm pasting it without any of the calculations or the formulas coming through. So the upper class boundary and the cumulative frequency are the two things that I want to plot against one another. So let's highlight it. Oh, so the one thing we do know from our practice with the frequency polygon is I do want on the low side, on the lower end, I want it to actually close up. So I'm going to insert a row. So right click, insert. That way I don't have to go back and edit it. So at this one, so the class boundary that I'll use here is this one minus 1.81. And then it's just formatted different. Let me format them all exactly the same so that they look the same. So I'm formatting them so now they're all to the right. And then the cumulative frequency at that first lower class boundary is 0. So cumulatively, it is 0 at that value. So let's highlight these two and let's graph it. The Ogive is a line chart also. So I'm highlighting these. I'm going to insert a line chart, 2D line chart, select my data. So along the y-axis, I want the frequencies, and along the x-axis, I want the upper class boundaries. So I want these. Okay. So now let's just fix everything. Let's put a title on our graph. So up at the top, I'm going to say Ogive. store A prices. I'm going to get rid of this label. I'm going over to add a chart element. I'm going to put my axis titles in, so my primary horizontal. So price of an item in dollars. Then along this axis, I'll add my other one. Add the axis title on the primary vertical. Go in here. And along here, I'm going to put cumulative frequency. Because that's what's along there is the cumulative frequency. Uh-oh, I got an extra M in here. Oops. Oh well, I'll type it over again rather than trying to correct this. Cumulative frequency. We'll get rid of this box that's popped up over here. And so remember, we can move this around so that it's more in line. We can take our chart, start it up here at the top. So however you think it looks best when you're getting ready to print this off and deliver it as far as a project is concerned or a problem is concerned. So that was the frequency polygon and the cumulative frequency graph, otherwise called the Ogive.